welcome back to my channel. Today I will be doing some watercolor flowers. A lot of you are probably wondering, what is this thing right here? This is just from our past video. I don't want to waste a lot of paper, so I am just covering up so we can focus on the present activity. What you'll need for this video is a cup full of water, your acrylic or watercolor paper, a pastel, and your palette, and of course your watercolors and paintbrushes. Just another reminder, hit that subscribe button and click that notification bell and tell at least 5 people you know about this channel. A heads up, I may get interrupted this video, as I always have the chance of being interrupted. So if I do get interrupted, I will just let you know and ignore it. So first things first, you're going to get your paintbrush. Now, any paintbrush is fine, but what I would prefer for this activity is the paintbrush that comes to a tip, but it's still kind of fuzzy. And this is the best paintbrush I recommend. Again, make sure you have that acrylic or watercolor paper, otherwise your paint will bleed through. The first thing we're going to do is go in our, dropped my paintbrush, let me go get that. The first thing you're going to do is get your water and use your paintbrush to drop that water into your palette. Now my palette is really dirty, but I want you to know that if your palette has any paint on the inside, wash it out. My palette is washed out, it's just the rims that are still dirty. And while I do this, you guys can pause the video and do this on your own. Okay, I finished. Now the next thing we're going to do is choose a color. My color is purple, so I'm going to choose purple for this one. You're going to take some purple, get it on your brush, and then dip it in that water. Now, a lot of people think that you have to fill it up to the top, but you really don't, because it's barely full at all, if you can't tell. It's not even full halfway. Take some of that paint. I'm using purple, but you guys can use whatever color you want, and just make sure the paint is mixed in with the water. If you need more water, feel free to get some. Just don't add too much water, as the paint could end up too liquidy and it could end up being ruined. Now, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take the mixture we have right now, which you should not have a lot of paint in the water. It should be just a little bit. And you're going to put it down on your paper, and we are going to start painting. Now, a mistake that a lot of people make with watercolor is when they do paint, they press it down too hard, and the result doesn't end up the exact way they want it. So what you want to do is press down your watercolor a little bit, but not too much. Otherwise, you might not like the result, and you'll end up having to do it all over again. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to take our watercolor, use the tip, and go up, and then go around, and come back down, back to the same point where we were. All you have to do is fill out that little shape right there, and then once you're done, you can start filling it in. Remember not to press too hard, as this watercolor will spread, and it could end up leaving you miserable with your result. Another thing to be sure of is to make sure that you don't have any water puddles of paint, because when it dries, it will show the water puddles, and you may not like how this looks. Make sure to spread it out and use it all. As you can see, I've painted my second petal. A lot of you are probably wondering why I painted my petals across from each other and not next to each other. That is because the paint will spread and it may not end up looking as good as you wanted it to. So now that I have done the two across from each other, just to be extra sure they don't bleed, I'm going to put my paintbrush in my water cup just because I don't want to leave it on the surface. And I will take my little towel right here. This is something I've been using for a while. You guys don't have to have something like this, but just so you know, this is something I've used for a while now. That's why it has so many paint stains, and I don't use anything else because this is my favorite thing to use when I'm painting. Now we're going to put our paper towel or art rag on our project, and you're just going to put it down and pick it up. If you put it down and smudge, then that will ruin your art and you may have to start all over. So just put it down and pick it up, and your art should look just the same and just as good. As you can see, I've added 2 more petals. We're going to repeat the step we did before by just putting our towel or rag or paper towel on top and pressing and then removing it. This way none of the water will mix and it won't get so messy. because if you do put watercolor together, it will blend with each other. That's why you either have to let it dry or do what I'm doing with my art rag, which is dabbing and picking up. Otherwise, you might be disappointed with your results. Another thing you guys would probably like to know is that this is a new channel, obviously, and I am trying to spread the love for art as much as possible. So if you could share this video with at least 5 people you know, that would be great, and let's spread the love for art. Also, our goal is 100 subscribers, and as soon as we get there, I will think up of something really cool that we can do as an art project. Another thing is MLK Day is coming up, and I will be doing a special project for that, but I won't be doing it on the exact 18th. I'll be doing it a little bit before. I don't know the exact date yet. And every holiday that we have, I will be doing some type of special activity depending on what that holiday is. It might be origami or it might be painting. You don't know. It's all about art here, and we don't focus on one thing. We do a broad variety. Another thing, this is watercolor paint, and watercolor paint is washable, so if you get this on your clothes, don't worry, just put it in the wash. However, if you don't put your clothes in the wash right after we're done with this video, it could end up causing permanent damage. If we were using acrylic paints, I would tell you to wear an apron and everything, because acrylic paints will not come out of your clothes. So if you're ever doing a DIY that involves acrylic paints, just know that you should cover yourself up with something, because acrylic paint will not come out no matter how hard you try. As you can see, I finished my flower and made sure it all dried, and it's looking pretty good, you guys. I'm really happy with this. Now what we're going to do next is we're going to take our mixture of purple paint and we're going to make it darker. So don't add any more water to your mixture, but do add more paint. Don't add too much more because we're going to go by shades, and I really don't want this to be ruined for you guys. So take a little more purple paint and add it to that mixture. And sorry about the background noise, guys, if you can hear that. That is just my family working outside. Now that we've added more purple to our mixture, we're going to do the same thing again, except, let me put this down here, except instead of going the same way, we're going to do flower petals in between, meaning we're not going to go up and down like how we did before. We're going to go in between the past flower petals and still color them in, or paint them in. I'll continue doing this while you guys do this at home. Okay, as you can see, I've just finished my second layer, which our flowers coming around really great, you guys. Now we're going to add even more paint, and by paint I mean purple paint. We're going to add even more purple paint to our palette. You might be running a little low on water, so you can add a little more, but just don't add too much. The more water you add, the more purple paint you'll have to add later. And again, you guys can be doing blue or yellow or whatever other color you want. I'm just doing purple because I like that color. You guys can do whatever color you want. And while I am mixing this, let me tell you, my sister has a channel. It's called Rapid Readers. You should really check that out. It's pretty much where she reads books to you, and she does it not in a monotone voice, in a really creative way. And I would like you guys to check out her channel and to subscribe. Also, check out my friend the Kitty Baker. She makes some pretty delicious stuff, and I think you guys should check her out for sure. As you can see, we're continuing our steps with our flower. I got even more purple paint, and now I am adding it and just dropping and dripping. Not a lot of water, but just a little bit to make sure that there's still some paint to dry. And if any of you guys subscribe or like this video, you can go to my channel and put in the chat or the discussion what you'd like me to do for our next video. As you can see, our flower is looking really good. So you have two options. You can either A, leave it like this and just continue with your life, or B, stick around for the rest of the video. What we're going to do next is we're going to take our palette and find a different empty space. Once you do find one, you're going to drip some water in there. Oh, and by the way, guys, if your paintbrush is still dirty and if you got the water all purple or blue or whatever color you got, take this time right now to go and wash it off and make sure that the water is nice and clean and new. Now you're going to get some water from your water cup, and you're going to find a new space on your paint holder, and you're going to drip some water into there, just like how we did with the purple. Remember, this doesn't have to be all the way full or even halfway full. Just make sure you're getting enough water so that you have to paint. Don't be wasteful, because if you use too much, you might end up wasting paint, and no one wants to spend extra money when they could have avoided it. Now we're going to take our green, which it can be light green or dark green, doesn't matter to me, and you're going to take it and put some green onto your palette. I'm using this bright green. It's kind of like a green yellow. That's what I'm using for this. You guys can use a different shade of green, or you could even use a completely different color, because this is your art, not mine. Make sure you mix it thoroughly. Now we're going to put our green down, and we're going to put it on our painting. Now, as you can see, our flower ended up great. Wherever the bottom of your flower is, that's where you're going to start. You're going to start by making a stem from here, right here. Now, first you have to make sure that this doesn't overlap with any of the flowers, because if it does, then it could end up looking like a pretty weird flower. Make your stem as long or as short as you want, and then we'll paint our leaf. But before we do that, let me finish this step. Now, there are two ways for you to do a leaf. I'm going to do the big leaf, and then I'll show you another way. The way I like to do my leaves is to just take a big curve up, make the leaf shape, and then come back down here. And then, of course, when you're done, you'll fill this all in so that it looks like a regular leaf. As you can see, I finished both of my leaves, but they still look a little bit wonky. Another option to do your leaves is, I'm just going to draw another stem right here and pretend our flower is up here. Another way to do your leaves is just the ordinary way, where you take your paintbrush and make little leaves going off your flower, which is not that complicated. I tend to use this more for when I'm painting roses, because roses have thorns, and that's how I picture a thorn. But if you want to do your leaves this way, go for it. All of you guys can see what step I'm now at, and oh, you didn't see when I did that. Okay, how I did it was I pretty much just drew a stem, and then I did the leaves like this, really tiny. I had no idea you guys couldn't see that. I'm completely, terribly sorry. But now I'm redoing it so you can see. Now you can see that I finished my flower, and you know what step I'm going to do next? I'm going to take my art cloth, and I'm just going to dab and dab and dab. Now that I'm done with this, I will find my Sharpie, if I can find it. Found it. I will get my Sharpie, and I will just draw in the middle a little circle, just to finish that off. Now, if you want to, you can leave your flower like this, or you can also outline all the petals if you wanted to. Which, yes, it takes a while, but it's really easy when you complete, and it looks really neat. But again, if you don't want to outline it, completely up to you. You can just end this video right now and go do something else. while I'm doing this video with you guys, I would just like to say thank you so much for watching. I'm sorry if there's some background noise or any static. I don't know why that is, but I am trying to get that fixed as soon as possible. I already told you about Rapid Readers. You should really check that channel out. And I think that's it. I will show you the end result of this flower. Make sure to go to my channel homepage and chat in the description what you would like me to do next or any suggestions you have for the future. I would just like you all to know that if a holiday is coming up and you chat me, for example, hey, I want to do watercolor, and a holiday is coming up, I will have to postpone that suggestion until next time because I always put my holidays first. Another thing, I do not celebrate Columbus Day. I only celebrate Thanksgiving. So when Columbus Day comes around, I'd like you to know that there will be no craft for that, just a regular day. Now, some of you might agree with me when I say that the flower honestly looks better when I didn't outline it, but some of you might disagree. So it doesn't really matter what your opinion was. I'm just saying that there are many ways to do the same thing. My next video will be about how to clean off your paintbrush when you are done painting. A lot of people do this incorrectly, so I will show you in my next video. But until then, bye!